This is Robin Barrow, one half of Quinn Connor.
And this is Alex Cronin, the other half of Quinn Connor. Pecan Children, we did write that one first. And Robin said earlier that like the version that we wrote the first time got us an agent, but it also was a very dreamy and very idyllic book. Like it was not a book that challenged you or challenged like really many ideas. It was meant to be sort of light in some ways, and it was beautiful. And honestly, like there's still, I'm like, there was some beautiful writing in that first version of the Pecan Children, but after we had done Cicadas and we had really thought about drowned towns and we had thought about these more thematic concepts that were a little bit darker and were reaching a little bit further, we looked at that first draft of Pecan Children and we were like, we cannot publish this. This is not doing enough. We need a book that is going to do more with the richness of this setting and like the strength of these characters. Like they're wasted in a story that isn't in any way really trying to challenge things. And so we went back to the drawing board and we learned a lot from Cicadas. We cut the story down to the characters we really needed, and we started again. The Pecan Children is a story of two sisters who are struggling to save their family pecan orchard from foreclosure and supernatural forces, but they don't know that the battle might already be lost.
So the Pecan Children is really centered around two twins, two sisters. One, Lil or Lilith Clearwater, is the orchard keeper. So she is the custodian and steward of her family's land. They've been there for a number of generations, and she is protecting the orchard. She harvests the pecans, and she keeps a deep secret that is lurking in the orchard. Um, Sasha is a little bit of a foil to Lil and an outcast. She is a lesbian. She left her home to go to New York and find herself. She's a photographer. She never really felt at home in her small town. And she has come home now and she's everywhere but the orchard. She's basically doing all the odd jobs around town. She doesn't really feel welcome in her family space. And the story is a lot about those two sisters finding a common ground and Sasha finding belonging and Lil finding freedom. The Pecan Children was, I think, a technical level up for us because we are building to a big twist in the book. Like the book you think you're in is not what's really happening. And when readers get to the end of Act 3, they have a kind of what moment, which we were really wanting to achieve. And so when we're thinking about building this, the fear elements, the suspense elements, and developing the characters, it was all we were really having to think about how when to reveal things and how to lead up to this moment so that it feels really earned. You know, you're not just deceiving readers because I want readers to feel like we were holding their hands, like they weren't just we didn't just drop some out of the blue unsatisfying thing. They wanted to feel earned but also be a real surprise. So I think that managing the the fear and the suspense was all in the service of kind of.
And I think that we had to be very intentional and we had to have a lot of talks about how we were going to do it and the right way to do it. And there's a lot of hints that I think reading it the first time, you could pick up on none of the hints, but reading it the second time, I think you will pick up on all the hints because a lot of them don't even seem like hints. Though there's one in particular I need a side chat with Robin about because a friend pointed it out because she thought it was a mistake. And then she was like, oh, that was the big hint. Well, if we're lucky, we can be on at the same time. And literally, like the code word we use is badger because we got so sick of texting your turn that we finally were just like, we need another word for it because this is annoying. And sending a badger emoji is much cuter. So we if we're lucky, we will both be on the Google Doc responding and also usually having 10 other side conversations about what we're having for dinner and distracting each other. But a lot of times we are not that lucky. And so what we will do is if it's my perspective character, then I will write the scene and sort of interject your character says something like this or has this general reaction. And then Robin will come in later and fill in the blanks or she will come in and be like, this is wrong for these 5 reasons. And then I will be like, ugh, and we'll reshape it together. But like usually we have one person who's sort of driving the scene and the other will come in. But we've been doing this for so long that we're pretty good at anticipating how the other might respond or like what the general vibe should be.
Well, Alex makes fun of me because I cry at like every book of it we do.
Yes.
I I'm just an easy crier, but I think when we're writing these books, it says a lot about where we are in our life at the time, and we use the novels to process things ourselves, and so it feels extremely personal, and especially with the Pecan Children, which is in a way our true debut novel. We've carried the story with us for so long, and I I don't know, it does feel extremely weird that it's out there, but also it's out there, so we never really have to say goodbye.
I think that in some ways I mean, I don't cry quite as much about it, but I do feel like, I mean, with Lil and Sasha and Autumn, we've had them in our lives since 2018, longer for a lot of them, actually longer. So it's really emotional in a way, but it's also kind of like I know that they're there if I ever like I mean to be frank, we've also spent like years and years editing and editing is aggravating. So like there's a little part of me that's always like glad it's done, but like they're never really gone. Like and the thing about having a co-writer is that you can really like you're never far away from someone who can reminisce with you and like they're reading the book in print to me is not what would keep the characters alive. For me, it would be like being like, oh my gosh, Robin, this is like, can you imagine what Sasha would say about this? Like, it's our conversations and like, we're still here. So we can always talk about them again if we wanted to.